Hello and welcome. Today we have a VOD review on Hollywood. This is a scrim match. I've never seen this video before, so I'll be commenting in real time. So let's get into it. I skipped ahead a few seconds to look at the team comp. We're running Lucio and Zenyatta, Winston D.Va, and Genji Tracer. So very standard dive comp. Cool, let's get into it. Okay, so that'll do. Okay, so let's talk a basic attack. Off the top of my head, I would probably split in 3 different forces: one around alley, one around main, and one on the right side. To be clear, like kind of like around the point, right on that right path to get behind the point. So 3 forces off the top of my head, probably Genji and Tracer left, maybe D.Va alone on the right, Lucio, Zenyatta, and Winston around main. There's other ways to do it. That's just one example that I think is pretty reasonable. Cool. So with a style like this, you need to be very patient, right? You need to make sure that everyone's in position before you start pulling the trigger on the fight. Attackers generally have more control over when the fight starts. So your goal is going to be to kind of push out these flanks, and main's gonna have to be very patient. Main doesn't want to get too overzealous and start going too far forward. They're gonna have to wait behind this archway until their flanking counterparts can push out, see what the defense leaves open. If the defense is heavily contesting alley or maybe the right side, okay, sure, then you need to reassess and plan accordingly. Maybe you send more forces that way to push them out. Maybe you give it up and you rotate a different way, just kind of like generally like that. Now, and the defense, they typically have more say over where the fight happens, right? Because they get to set up defensively, and obviously both sides have control over when and where, but that's kind of the idea, where attackers have a little bit more say on when, and the defenders have a little bit more say on where. So it's really critical that you very methodically push out the sides, see how much space the defense gives you, and then depending on what happens, then you pull the trigger, right? The defense might prematurely start a fight on one of these flankers or maybe on main, and then it's important that they disengage or collapse appropriately depending on the situation. Genji and Tracer, highly mobile, they can disengage and engage very quickly. D.Va similarly, very good mobility, extremely durable with the DM, and so much health and armor. Main force is Winston, Lucio, and Zenyatta, very mobile with the Lucio. So they can also disengage and engage appropriately. So this is just off the top of my head, this is like a pretty decent way to split up your forces. What I don't want is the classic thing we see all the time in solo queue and even in professional play, where everyone just dives in, YOLO, hope it works, and that's it. So cool. I hope that makes sense. Let's get into it.
So let's say 1 or 2.
Okay, Panda just
did I just hear a Tracer? Okay, well, okay. One thing at a time. So, wait, hold on. Yeah, okay. Okay, this will do. Wait, let's.
Okay, Panda just.
Darn. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. All right. Actually, this is still pretty bad, but okay. So, actually, yeah, this doesn't look so great. I was trying to get it. I was trying to time it. Hold on. Let's look for a better frame.
Okay, Panda
Okay.
just.
There we go. Cool. Perfect. Yay. Okay. So here we have the D.Va, the Genji, the Winston. Tracer is right here. She's yellow, so she must have taken some damage. And then Zenyatta on the right. Okay, and actually we know that their Tracer was flanking. Actually, yeah, that reminds me of a professional match. I don't recall which one, but similar style where they flanked. Like kind of at this, pretty much at this same point in the match. That could be very devastating. We'll see what happens. Anyways, this attack already, I am not a fan of it. This is kind of what I was talking about. You guys haven't dove yet, but it looks like you're about to. And let's point out some things that are wrong. First, Genji and D.Va in immediate line of sight of their opponents. giving up free shots, right? Like the defense, like we talked about, they get to set up how they want. They get to shoot you for free. You guys have not set up in your desired positions. Tracer's not even in position yet. Tracer's doing absolutely nothing in the top left, right? She's done absolutely nothing so far. Their Tracer's about to start putting work onto your back line. And now you're putting this Lucio in a really bad position because this Lucio, does he go forward and help the dive? Does he help Zenyatta? At this point in time, it probably makes sense for him to help Zenyatta as soon as he starts hearing Tracer. And probably the team's best bet right now, as soon as they hear that Tracer, is to disengage and collapse back onto this Tracer to make sure that your Zenyatta doesn't die and, you know, shoo that Tracer away. Generally. And not everyone has to collapse. Probably Winston, Genji, and D.Va should all collapse, including this Lucio, onto that Tracer. Your Tracer could collapse or keep her position because she might be free up there to keep that. Yeah, so this is already looking pretty sloppy. You know, that being said, I see sloppy fights all the time, or rather sloppy engagements and sloppy setups all the time, and they can work, you know, especially in scrims. So we'll see what happens, but this is pretty risky. Okay.
Behind, watch out.
Good. Okay, so you shoot her away. That's great.
There's Tracer behind us.
So actually, yeah. So if we kind of dig into that, their Tracer got like a 2-for-1 deal. Their Tracer was able to absorb Lucio and Zenyatta out of this fight. That's a 2-for-1, while the rest of your team was kind of fending for themselves. You know, kind of just out in the open, just getting shot. So like, there's almost nothing about this offense that I like, except for Tracer. I like what Tracer's trying to do, flanking. Unfortunately, the rest of the team went in before she was ever able to make anything out of this flank. So very unfortunate for that. Everything else, though, not a big fan. Well, actually, I guess specifically, if we're going to call out problems, Winston's actually in an okay spot. Winston's actually hugging this wall pretty well. I like that. Genji and the D.Va over here, who we can't see because of Lucio's stupid gun, D.Va and Genji totally open, ready to be attacked. Like, there's nothing great about this. Again, it would have been much better if everyone pushed out the flanks, see how much space the defense is willing to give you, play with that, and then react accordingly, as opposed to, okay, guys, we're going to go and just, like, dive. And actually, what happened exactly? Let's see this.
Panda just... Tracer behind, watch out.
Okay, so we hear Winston saying he's claiming the objective, so he probably dove in. Yeah, okay, so he just melted. So let's kind of go over what happened. Your opponents basically surrounded you, right, with this Tracer. That Tracer played a very pivotal role in sandwiching you between, sandwiching your team, right? They kind of put you into a little ball. And made it so you guys couldn't, like, disengage or be more flexible, right? Because you guys were all kind of clumped up. Like, if we look at your spacing's actually pretty good. Like, it's pretty decent, like, the space you have in between amongst yourselves. But the positioning is really bad, right? Like, if we're just being honest here and just being very blunt, it's really poor. You're basically clumped up into one space. Again, that being said, your spacing is pretty good amongst yourselves, but in terms of the amount of space you're utilizing on the map, like if we just took an aerial view of the map, you could see how much of the space you guys are not using, right? There's so much space that's going underutilized, and you guys kind of just chose to just clump up around main. So I'm not happy with that. Like we talked about earlier, I would have liked to seen a style where you divide your forces out, push out the flanks. Again, as the offense, you have more of a say in terms of when the fight starts. And then, you know, if your opponents, you know, dive you prematurely and try to, like, collapse onto one of your units, that's a more advanced strategy. So we're not even there yet, but there are ways to kind of to work around that on the offense, depending on how it happens, which is either to collapse or to disengage. So anyways, that's too much abstract stuff, too much abstract theory. So we'll just continue this. So again, I want to see a style like we talked about, where you guys divide your forces.
No one was, I don't think everyone.
And actually, Is everyone back from spawn? Tracer was the last one that died. Okay, so she should be back soon. Okay. All right, so you guys are poking. I'm not really a fan of this poking. Oh, crap. It looks like they're about to dive you. This Winston right here, he just jumped. So they're probably going for an attack right now. And I've been skipping around a lot, so I'm not quite sure if Tracer's back in the fight yet, but they're looking to attack you. Actually, I don't really like this from the opponent's side. They're giving up their positioning, but they might have another flank set up, so we'll see how this goes. I personally don't like this attack from this defense, but maybe they have a strategy here, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so the EMP. Okay, that's reasonable. So now you need to just disengage as much as possible. Try to draw the fight closer to your spawn. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Okay, and actually, oh, see if you can get this Tracer. It looks like their team is starting to disengage, so very intelligent of them. See if you can punish this Tracer. Claps. Okay. Nope. Okay, so she's... yeah, I think she's gone.
We really need to finish it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so Genji stopped. Okay, so she got away. Okay, so now I need to wait for... Who died? D-Mech and Zenyatta died, right? Okay. So now I need to wait for Zenyatta. He's probably almost back. The D-Mech. Actually, the D-Mech's a problem. Is that D... No, that's Dragon Blade. Yikes. She's here, right? To be honest, this sounds crappy, but yeah, so there's the baby diva. The diva probably needs to go and just switch heroes and get her mech back. That being said, you can do this. Again, push out your flanks, babysit the diva to let her get her suit back. Oh man, that's actually crap. No, you know what? No, this is horrible. This is gonna end badly. She needs to switch.
Soldier high ground.
Diva low.
That's shoulder. Oh wait, do we have knife?
So they're oh, there's that Tracer again. And you guys are clumped up again. No, this makes me so sad. So a couple things wrong. Your diva, right? You don't have mech, so they're probably just gonna collapse on you and fight you here. And again, no one's pushing out the flanks. Oh. That's probably the fight right there. So now you're down to Zenyatta, and you still have right here a useless baby diva. Well, not useless, but not ideal. Someone's low. Oh man. Now you're just kind of in solo queue mode where they're just kind of punishing you for it. Your opponents are very good. I have to give a lot of praise to them. They are very intelligently approaching these fights, and they're very decisive, right? Yeah, so actually, we'll see how this continues. Okay, you got the Dragon Blade. So you probably want to do a dry push here. Just go for a dry push. Again, I need you to split up your forces. Actually, that being said, no, yeah, still split up your forces. Oh, another EMP. So actually, that's not a big knock on you guys. Cool, you got 3 ults. And actually, do you have any more coming up? So I think that's fine. They probably there's not a whole lot I think you could have done there in that situation. I think they were going to punish you because they're confident right now, and well, not because they're confident, but I think they probably recognized they had the EMP and had a positional advantage. So actually, was there anything you could have... Well, again, I would have liked to see you split up your forces. You know, I know I'm beating a dead horse here. I feel like I need to say something else, but that's honestly really important. I can't stress that enough, and I feel like I'm trying to find something else valuable to contribute to be educational, but I can't think of anything else. I think that is the number one thing that matters here. Okay, I just saw you guys had 5 ultimates. To be honest, I would actually... You have a Mitten 22. Just to be safe, I would go for a dry push here, bait out some ultimates, yeah, and see if you can get an even better ultimate advantage for the next fight, because the one after this is going to be the last. Oh man, okay, what is happening here? So again, actually, I'm not quite sure what you guys are trying to do here. So, okay, so I've been trying to think of something more valuable to say. So here's another thing that I think is valuable. When you're setting up your fights, even if you're going to be stubborn and you don't want to divide your forces, okay, fine, maybe you're not into that, which you should be, but if you're not, at the very least, use your line of sight to your advantage, right? When you are setting up for a fight, like, look here. So it looks like your Winston, he just dives in. So does your diva, but they're still in line of sight of their opponents. Like, that's pretty silly. Like, you want to get as close to your opponents as possible while still having some kind of wall or a car or some environmental protection that blocks line of sight, and then you can go in. Right now, the diva and Winston, they literally just dove onto the ledge and are still in line of sight of their opponents to get to take damage. Well, specifically the diva. I don't know about the Winston. Again, there's nothing really great to say about this offense. Okay, now you have, what is that, 6 ults? Oh, you have 5. Okay, use the pulse bomb. Okay, now, at this point, you just go for broke. You go for a fight. But again, use line of sight, divide your forces. We'll see what happens.
We should touch the point once this game.
Yeah, just dive high ground. Claim the high ground.
Oh, really?
Dive
Okay,
cafe,
dive.
3, 2,
It's not my...
1.
Oh, man. Okay, so, I mean, I think your opponents are definitely like a tier above you. Like, mechanically, they're very strong, decisive. They have they contest their flanks and they push them out, which is something I need you guys to be doing. That goes along with the dividing the forces, stuff we talked about. Yeah, and as you can see here, right now when you try to just like dive the cafe, they just punished you for that, because that is such... It's an amateur thing that we see all the time, even in professional play. It makes me sad. So please just don't do this diving thing where you're just like, hey, let's just dive them head on. Like, please don't do that. Please, 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 please. If there's one thing you can take away from this video, let it be that, please. There are very smart ways to play this game, and we need to learn how to do that. Okay, I think I've rambled on enough for on the offense side. I'm guessing that they're gonna do really well on defense. Excuse me, your opponents are gonna do well on offense. So I think I'm gonna cut this video short. I hope it was educational. Hope it was helpful. And if you liked it, please subscribe. Thank you.